girl thinks everything would end in just a year.
سال آخر. Nice.
Well, she's wrong.
Yes, I just gonna go to study. Yeah. And drink coffee. Perfect.
It was the last year of high school that out of the blue I decided to take a university entrance exam. I had less than a year ahead to study and get ready for the biggest exam of my life. But I was too distracted to actually study.
بیاین یه اعترافی بکنم و اونم اینه که امروزم درست درس نخوندم.
Every day I would go to school trying to make studying look perfect, flawless, and aesthetic instead of just sitting down and studying that damn lesson.
حدوداً یه هفته از حالت نرمال خارج شدم.
Though I wasn't lazy, and the reality is that I was overwhelmed. I was just so lost and desperate to find the right way. And that made me try everything. I mean everything. Until one day I told myself that enough is enough.
به نظرم بهتر اتاقمو جمع جور کنم. از این بعد بشنم رو میز درس بخونم چون اینجوری روی زمین نمیشه.
I finally cleaned my room and that gave me a clear idea of the path I was in. But when a girl decides to be dangerous, she cuts her hair.
من موهامو زدم. Yay.
That's when you should probably be afraid of her. I mean, definitely. Right when I cut my hair, my midterm exams started.
شنبه امتحان گسسته دارم.
Like the universe itself was like trying me and testing me that how serious I was.
من الان وسط امتحانای میان ترمم. تموم بشه شبه نهایی شروع میشه. تموم بشه ترم شروع میشه. بعد از اونم که کنکوره.
But even in that chaos, I still had the time to try on hats and speak in my awful English.
I find out that it's better. Or maybe this. I don't know. I always have problem with this hat. With these cap hats. I think I said it right. I don't know.
Anyways.
Play by TF card.
I actually used to have a YouTube channel before that, but during that time I couldn't post videos on my YouTube channel considering that I had to focus on my exam, on studying and everything. So I would just escape the reality by recording myself whenever I could. I would talk to the camera only to distract myself from the hell I was in. Recording myself during that time was the only thing that kept me sane and also one of the motivations that all of this would end one day and I could finally get back to do what I love.
امتحان هویتم تموم شد. Yay!
I would start my videos talking about studying, exams, and talking brutal truths.
9 تا امتحان دیگه مونده. بعد امتحانایم که مونده فردا فارسی دارم. فارسی خیلی سخته.
But I would end up talking about anything other than school and studying.
دیدین یه روزای آدم دلش میخواد کلی فیلم بگیره. من الان دقیقا رو هم اومده. انگلیسی ها من این همه مثلا اینجوری بودم که انگلیسی من خیلی خوبه و اینا. برفتم نگاه کردم تازه سطح من A2. مثلا فکر می‌کردم حداقل B1 باشم دیگه. بعد تلاش کنم برسم به B1 چون دوستم زودتر برسم به تافل و آیلتس و اینا.
Only to save myself from drowning in the school commitments.
I think that's enough. Yeah. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Though I eventually understood that that was not the way. I had no other choice but studying. Even when I didn't want it, even when I wanted to escape, I still had to study to pass that time. So I did. I finally focused. But even when I decided to get focused, the whole system suddenly turned against me.
مفتخرم به عرضتون برسونم که تعطیل شدیم. یعنی قشنگ اعصابمو خورد کردن. اوایل از تعطیلی خوشحال میشم ولی الان دیگه واقعا حرصمو در آوردن. یعنی چی؟ یه نه امتحانی که 20 روز بودش و هی دارن کش میدن. قشنگ 1 ماه شدش. قرار بودش که از 3 شروع بشه تا 20 تموم بشه. 27 قرار بود تعطیل بشه به خاطر اون یه هفته تعطیلی. قرار بازم بیفته عقب.
During that time, we would study for an exam, and right before the day of the exam, they would postpone it. And they would close the schools. Then we would study for the next exam, only to hear that at the last second they postponed that too. And it was frustrating.
کلی من شیمی خونده بودم. اعصابم خورده میدونین؟ خیلی شیمی خونده بودم واقعا اعصاب خورد کنه.
I was almost losing it, but I would still motivate myself with my awful English.
If you ever scared, so go through it. Yeah.
Don't ask me. I don't even know what I was talking about. I just know that it was meant to motivate myself at some point. And honestly, I really needed that motivation among all of that stress and postponed exams.
فردا تعطیل دیگه.
And like it was not already enough, I had to take a university entrance exam in the middle of my first semester exams.
Hello. بچه ها بالاخره روز کنکور دی رسیدش. الان صبح من دارم حاضر میشم که برم سر جلسه.
It was supposed to be like a rehearsal for my actual exam, which was a few months later, but the result was important. If I would pass that exam, I could stop even thinking about the actual exam. So it was stressful as hell because I wanted to end it.
تا صبح داشتم خواب میدم که وسیله‌مو جا گذاشتم. بعد وقتی که رفتم بردارم خیلی طول کشیدش. بعد از کنکور جا موندم. تا صبح فقط داشتم خواب همینو میدم و کلی هرس خوردم تو خواب.
And above all of that, my uniform was just kidding with me.
سخت من پوشیدم. I think everything's okay and let's go. بریم برای کنکور.
Though I went through that exam, but I didn't pass it the way I wanted. But it wasn't that important, and I was happy that I finally finished the first semester exams. But actually, we finished the first semester exams later than ever in the history of my studying years, at least. Funny. It took us over a month, but I was finally free to study for my actual entrance exam. This time, more serious than ever.
الان میخوایم درس بخونیم. Yeah.
Like I just understood that how important it was for me. Then I got my grades sheet.
خب بچه ها من امتحانم تمام شد و کارنامه‌مو گرفتم. همه تخصصیام درسام مثلا همه بالای 18 و عمومی هم بیان راجبشون حرف نزنیم. آره. That's my GPA. GPA هم بکنم 3.90 میشه.
My grades were fine, but fine weren't enough for me. I was aiming for perfect. After that, the system didn't change.
فردا ساعت 9:30 مدرسه شروع میشه چون که برف اومده و تعطیلمون نکردن تا الان ساعت 11 شب و اعلام کردن که فردا ساعت 9:30 بعد بریم.
They would still keep closing the schools and rescheduling the study times, but I changed my own system.
روی کتومت و سفید به تو یه غور رسید که ما یه رو بدو میریم چی شد یه ها که صبح رسید عزیزم
The rehearsal entrance exam and my grades sheet showed me the reality that I was so unprepared. But instead of disappointing me, they encouraged me to study harder and try more. Because it wasn't about uni anymore. It was between me and myself, proving to myself that I would do anything I want only if I decide to.
حدوداً 4 ماه دیگه تا کنکور مونده. کلا قراره من بشینم تو خونه درس بخونم خیلی درس بخونم. آره همین. Let's go study. Yay.
I spent the whole new year studying and shaping my focus until I opened my eyes and it was suddenly final exams.
امتحانای نهایی داره شروع میشه از فردا نه پس فردا. بعد از اونم دیگه کلن از دست کنکور خلاص میشم. هورا.
I was nervous, yes. But at least I knew that it would end in just a few weeks and after that I could get rest and have some fun.
خیلی خوشحالم که داره زودتر تموم میشه کنکور. واقعا خیلی خوشحالم. اصلا اینجوری نیستم که وای داره زمان میگذره، وای من استرس دارم. نه. داره تموم میشه بعد از کنکور عشق و حال زیاد.
Naive. Though I still kept studying and system kept making it harder for me.
من از امتحان فارسی زنده اومدم بیرون. یه فقط یه ناعدالتی که شدش و من به این معترضم واقعا. فکر کنین یه سالن خیلی بزرگ بودش. فکر کنم حدودا یه 100 نفری باشیم دانش آموز. نمیدونم دقیق چند نفر، ولی حدودی 100 نفر میتونیم باشیم. شروع کردن از اون ور مثلا پخش کردن. ما ته سالن بودیم دیگه، تا برسن به ما قشنگ 10 دقیقه گذشتش. از ساعت 8:05 دقیقه شروع کردن، به ما 8:15 رسیدش. بعد دقیقا سر همون ساعتی که برای اونا رو گرفتن برای ما رو هم گرفتن. 1.5 ساعت بود امتحان. بعد یعنی ما 1 ساعت و 20 دقیقه امتحان دادیم. خیلی واقعا زور داشتش برامون.
But by that time I knew already that nothing would be solved by complaining.
نمیخوام حالا فعلا خیلی قرقر کنم، پس بلش کن بخیال.
Instead, I took care of myself, motivating myself to keep going even though I was drained from energy and I was running only on fumes. But I couldn't give up because I had a vision and that vision kept me alive until the exam day itself.
بچه من فردا کنکور دارم، امروز روز قبل از کنکوره. بعد الان از صبح تا الان هیچ درسی نخوندم. الان قراره بریم حوزه‌مو ببینم.
The day before the exam day, I was more happy and excited than stressed.
دارم برای بلگاه کنکور تعیین میشه ولی بر خود کنکور نه اصلا.
Or at least I would pretend that I'm not nervous. You don't see it in the video, but that night before the exam day, I was sitting with my family laughing at something super silly that I don't even remember. But suddenly, I burst into tears. That was so odd for me. And that made me realize that how much pressure were on me. You know, everything were just feeling so heavy at once. The pressure of exam itself, all the time that I spent on studying, and all the money that my family spent for me. I didn't want to disappoint them or myself, especially after all of my dedications. So I tried to calm myself down and I tried to sleep with the belief that I will nail the exam day.
من ساعت 5:30 صبح باید بیدار شم. بعد الان اومدم توی رخت خوابم که بگیرم بخوابم. فردا 2 تا کنکور قرار بدم، کنکور ریاضی و کنکور هنر. هنر رو همینجوری ثبت نام کردم، هیچی براش درس نخوندم. صبح ریاضی، ظهرش هنره، بعد از اون دیگه برمیام خونه و من دیگه کل تابستون آزادم.
There is an unwritten law that when you have something important to do in the morning and you should wake up early, you end up sleeping later and less than ever. So as you guess, I slept for less than 5 hours. The sleeping that you can't even call sleeping, if you know what I mean. I was so restless all the night that I couldn't even fall deeply asleep. I woke up at 5:30, grumpy. But I was already excited even before the exam.
این وضعیت آینه من بودش تا چند روز پیش، یعنی تا الان هم البته هستش. بعد از امروز همه اینا کنده میشه.
I wanted to get rid of that exam as soon as possible, even if that meant going through it. We went to the exam area at 6 in the morning. And guess what? They kept us waiting for a few hours, like they wanted to torture us until the last second.
آفتاب قشنگ تو چشم منه، اصلا دارم خوب کنه. بعد با مامانم اومدم. الان میخوام بشنم آهنگ گوش بدم و گرمم هستش. میخوام آهنگ گوش بدم چون صدام سر میره و نمیخوام برم تو اصلا.
In the exam area, like always, my mom was with me to comfort me before the exam and hug me after the exam.
فکر می‌کردی یه روزی من کنکور بدم؟
آره
من هیچ وقت فکر
دارم
نمی‌کردم.
الان میبینم که یه روزم خانم مهندس میشی.
نه خودم اصلا فکر نمی‌کردم که
میخوام مهندس موفق.
نمیخوای به بچه‌ها پیامی چیزی بگی؟
نه.
مرسی. مامانم صبح بیدار شده خسته.
And I really appreciated that among all of that stress.
بچه‌ها این دانشگاه. آره. بعد برم توش البته. اینم من که داریم میریم. آره.
And finally, after a year of studying, trying, and dedicating, I got free from the hardest exam of my entire life. At least I thought I got free.
بچه همه از کنکور اومدم. راستشو بخواین خیلی خوب نبودش. خیلی سخت بود سوالا. مخصوصا ریاضی برای من که خیلی سخت بود واقعا. بعد دوستام هم میگفتن خیلی سخت بودش که اوکی میخوام بهش فکر نکنم. ولی هنر رو میمونم که کنکور هنر رو میدم. بعدش دیگه میریم خونه و از فردا آزادی. هورا. بچه ها الان ناهار گرفتیم اومدیم بخوریم. یه ساندویچ گرفتیم، چیزبرگر با یه پیتزا. خیلی گشنمه دارم میمیرم. بخوریم بعدش دیگه وایسیم تا هنر شروع بشه من برم برای هنر. بچه ها عنکبوت سفید اینجا. من از عنکبوت میترسم ولی این واقعا گوگلیه. بچه‌ها من همین الان رسیدم خونه و کلا کنکورم تموم شد. هم هنر هم ریاضی جفتش.
But I still didn't know that it was just the beginning. Though a good thing was that I finally got rid of those study books and textbooks that I had to pile around my room. And I got rid of studying, at least for a while. But with that exam, the reality punched me in the face. I wasn't meant to study and go to university in Iran and see the system waste the rest of my life with postponing every classes, every exams, and every opportunities. And that ending was actually the beginning of everything. I started my first YouTube channel when I was only 16, and I started purely on passion, like I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to be a YouTuber, and it was something that I was so passionate about. And it was also the first job I was doing for myself, and it was the job I loved. But it was a job that I wouldn't get paid for doing it, so eventually it turned into just a hobby that I couldn't quit. But one thing about hobbies is that when something more important happens, you should give them up. Even despite your emotions and how giving it up feels like ripping your heart out of your chest. Yeah. Well, when I decided to study for that big exam, I had to give up my own hobby. And I had to say goodbye to my channel completely against my will. If I tell you the truth and be brutally honest with you, my personal teacher told me to stop working on YouTube. I considered her advice, and I only stopped working on my YouTube channel when she promised me that I would start doing it again after that exam, even stronger. Though I didn't delete my YouTube channel, I just stopped working on it. The first few weeks I decided not to do anything about it and just forget about it completely. But then I realized that it's driving me crazy not to even record my videos. You know, I was used to recording, talking to the camera, and being away from it was like dying slowly from the inside. Even if I survive, I'm not actually leaving. Like the camera is a part of my soul that I can be completely honest with. That observation made me pick up my phone, put it in front of myself, and just start telling whatever that came to my mind. The result was this whole episode and all of my heart that I poured into those videos. But also, one other thing about hobbies is that when you pour your hearts into them, you get addicted on a level that you can't get away from them ever. And that's why I'm even here and you're watching this video.